Down are the 24 teams that will make up the 2022-2023 Championship season over in the EFL. Who's going to save themselves from the drop and who's going to go all the way to the top? My early door predictions are coming at you next. Prediction video today. We're taking a look at the 2022-2023 insanely early door predictions for the EFL Championship season. Of course, we'll get to that in just one second. If you know where you've been, smash your subscribe to keep banging today. All things Championship related, Blackburn Rovers related, world football related. We got it all here, boys, under one roof. Of course, now we know the 24 teams that make up the Championship, with, of course, the result of the Championship playoff. And, of course, we're going to give you my insane picks in a second. Of course, make sure you drop a comment down below what you think about my picks. Make sure you smash your subscribe as well and thumbs up if you're new to the channel, and give this channel and this video a bit of support. Been working on it for a few days now, but of course here it comes, starting from right smack dab in the middle. It is, of course, my 2022-2023 Championship predictions. Meanwhile, it's a 13th spot out in the Championship this campaign. I do see another Northwest club, and that will be the Tangerines. Blackpool, of course, fantastic stuff last time around, finishing in 16th. And, of course, a key part of Blackpool's post-season or pre-season, whatever you want to call it, is keeping a hold of Neil Critchley. That's right. Of course, still a couple of Championship managers to be appointed. And, of course, keeping a hold of some of the good guys is, of course, top priority. Also, keeping a hold of some of the key players. We know Josh Bowyer is probably on his way out from Blackpool onto somewhere else, I'm pretty sure. But that's going to take a major blow to Blackpool's chances of surviving in the division. So I do anticipate a bit of progress, though. 13th for the Tangerines, and of course another season in the Championship. Next about the Championship, we have 14th place QPR. Of course, no manager yet, but of course that could be either a good thing or a bad thing. Of course, QPR were on the cusp of playoffs last round, but didn't really make it. Of course, falling apart, just like Blackburn Rovers towards the end of the campaign. They did finish 11th last time around. Of course, Walton's now gone. Who's going to come in? We'll have to wait and see. But good, some exciting players already on the books, and of course losing some key individuals as well. So I think another season transition for some of those new Championship, or some of those Championship clubs that are looking for a new manager. And again, 14th spot for QPR, a bit of a whimper. Next up, of course, it is Coventry City coming at you into 15th spot. Mark Robbins did an absolute wondrous job last season. Of course, only bettered really by the surprise package. Luton Town, of course, came into the playoffs and actually had a good shot at it. Coventry were one of the pace setters early on in the season, but did wobble towards the back end of the campaign. Signing him on, the manager, the gaffer, for another season is of course going to be the major component for the guys at the Rico. Currently coming at you 12th last time around. This time around, a bit of a backward step, bit of a wobble maybe, but of course keeping hold of the talent is going to be what's going to be the difference making up for them. But for me, 15th in the Championship for Coventry City. Spot over the Championship, it is Preston North End. That's right, Ryan Lowe taking over the reins last time around. This is his first full season since, of course, transitioning from Plymouth Argyle, and of course hoping to better last season's 13th finish. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a bit of a wobble for them, going more towards the middle of the pack there, and of course it's going to be a very tough division out of the Championship. But 16th for me for the Lily Whites of Preston North End. It's a bit of a season of struggle for them. 17th spot over the Championship, it is Stoke City. That's right, another season of woe, perhaps for Michael O'Neill's boys, of course. 6-1, you couldn't currently get odds for them. They did finish in 14th last time around. Of course, they did flirt with the playoffs last season, but of course trailed off dramatically towards the back end. I think it could be a case of lightning strike twice, and of course 17th spot is nowhere near the playoffs. More keeping an eye over their shoulder to avoid the drop. The football is a little bit bland for me over in Stoke with Michael O'Neill. Will they change the system, change their man? That's all to be decided over the course of the season. Next up, of course, over in the Championship is Wigan Athletic. That's right, finishing first last time around over in League One, but coming up as champions, but of course returning to the second tier after a couple of seasons' absence. Liam Richardson has been the key man for them, former Rovers Academy player, of course, and he is still in the mix to be a contender to maybe take over the reins from Tony Mowbray. That's right, but Liam Richardson will probably stay put at the DW. They're building something there, and he is a key part of that. 18th for me, though, for Wigan. 9-1 to go the distance, but I don't think they'll have much better than a season of transition over at the DW. Next up, of course, out of the Championship is 19th place. And who is it? It is, of course, Cardiff City. That's right, Stevie Morrison took over the reins last season, kind of kept Cardiff moving in the right direction. And, of course, they have been one of the busier, if not the busiest sides in the transfer window already. But for me, I think it's going to be a bit of another wobbly season, to be honest with you. I've got odds at, what we're looking at, 8-1 for them to get promoted this season, although it's coming up season. But, of course, I don't think so. I think they're going to struggle. 19th place, Cardiff City, going a little bit backwards instead of forwards, but of course that's just my pick. Oh, next up out in the Championship we have Bristol City. That's right, Nigel Pearson's boys, of course, not coming into this campaign fresh off the back. Actually came into this into this campaign on the back of some good form, but I do think the worst is still to come for the Robins with Nigel Pearson at the helm, keeping, of course, the key components together, the front three, who were very, very impressive towards the back end of the season, including Andreas Wyman scoring free scoring from midfield. But I do think a season of struggle is ahead for Nigel Pearson. 20th in the campaign for me, 12-1, of course, odds for them to get promoted, but of course don't put 20 there. Plays wise, avoid these guys, they're going to struggle this season. Next up, of course, out into 21st spot, we have Hull City. That's right, goodness gracious me. Last season finishing 19th. This season a little bit worse off. Of course, edging closer to the drop zone. But they'll hang on by the skin of the teeth. Shot out of Aladze's boys. Of course, shot out of the Georgian, taking over the reins last season. I just don't think he's got the mettle for a full Championship season under his belt. The jury's out on him, as of course the governor. But for me, I don't even know if he's going to make the full season. But yeah, the Tigers, 21st. Oh yes, and going down, the first team going down in my eyes this campaign out in the Championship will be Lee Bowyer's Birmingham City. A lot of chaos going on behind the scenes for Birmingham, of course finishing last season in 20th. They have actually odds at 11-1 to get promoted to the Premier League this coming season, but don't put your money on that, don't waste it, because I don't really know what's going to go on in the future for Birmingham City. The Brummies, will Bowyer be actually at the helm at the start of the season? If he is, will he last the full season? Probably not. Of course, chaos is emerging in Birmingham, and I think Lee Bowyer and Birmingham City will have a right old struggle this season, and they're going to go down 22nd spot in the Championship in the 2022-23 campaign. Of course, what are your thoughts? Let me know, of course, if you agree with that or not. But anyway, let's keep going. Over in the Championship, and it is Rotherham United, a bit of a yo-yo team, of course. Obviously switching between League One and the Championship, and of course last time around they finished in second spot over in League One, but again I do see them go straight back down to the third tier the first time I'm asking. You can currently get odds at 16-1 for Rotherham to get promoted. Of course the mainstay for them is keeping a hold of Paul Warne, because I think they're, of course, if they are to get relegated once again this time around, they'll be back not too long ago, not too far into the distant future. But of course the Millers, another season of struggle. Spot we have Reading, that's right, over in the Championship. Paul Ince has been swung in as permanent manager, and of course last season they just barely avoided the drop. I do expect some points deducted as well from Reading, so hopefully that will contribute to their relegation. So yep, of course 21st, that's around 24th for me. Reading are going to go down. There we get into it. Next up, of course, out in the Championship is my very own Blackburn Bloody Rovers, finishing in, of course, 8th last season. Of course, change of managerial, the managerial merry-go-round for Rovers. We don't know. Tony Mowbray era is over. 5 years and a chunk of change gone, but of course, new era, new beginnings, and of course, it's going to be a transitional season. Despite how much, how excited we will get for a new manager, we've got to give him a bit of time, a season of transition to find his format, find his players, find, of course, the way he wants to play, and of course, hopefully, stay out of trouble this campaign. So for me, a season of transition for Rovers, 12th spot would be great, at least a bit of progress, and of course, staying well clear of the relegation spots. Next, of course, out in the Championship, we have 11th place at Millwall. That's right, with Gary Rowett still at the helm, doing a fantastic job for the Lions down in London, of course. Currently, of course, last time around they finished in 9th. This time around, you can get odds of 9-1 for Millwall to do the unthinkable and get themselves to the Premier League. But again, transitional season for me for Gary Rowett's boys. Mid-table obscurity, of course, they flirted with the playoffs last time around, but I don't see it happening once again. Into 10th spot out in the Championship, we have Luton Town. That's right, playoff bound last time around, but of course failed at the first hurdle. But you shouldn't underestimate Nathan Jones. Fantastic job last season, but for me, I think it's going to be a bit of a backward step this time around. I don't think lightning will strike twice for the Hatters. They're going to have to do it the hard way, and I still think there'll be a successful season, another top half season, because Nathan Jones does what he does on the tin. He is a bit of a shithouse merchant, but of course he's been playing some real grinds out the football a little bit, and of course recently just announced Kyle Naismith joining Bristol City. Major loss at the back there, but for me still 10th spot, ain't nothing to be sniffed at and the Championship. Next up, of course, over in the Championship, we have Swansea City. That's right, I do see them finishing in the top half of the table. They're going to make steady progress from, of course, finishing in 15th last time around. Russell Martin is creating a style, creating a brand of over in the Swans over in Wales, of course. And I think they'll finish in the top 10. 9th for me. You can get odds at 11-2 for them to get promoted this time around, but it is a very, very competitive Championship this time around. We've got some big boys coming up from League One, of course, some juggernauts coming down from the Premier League. So I was hoping that Swansea could make that transition into a top 6 side, but I think it's going to be a little too late this come around. A 9th ain't too shabby though, and it is steady progress with Russell Martin. Next up, of course, out in the Championship, we have 8th spot, and this could be a bit of a surprise one. It is the return of the Mackhams, aka Sunderland. That's right, Alex Neil, a monstrous job he's done at Sunderland, getting them over the line last round via the playoffs. Of course, finishing in what was it, I don't know, 5th or 6th, I can't really remember. But of course, you can currently get odds at 6-1 for the Mackhams to get double promotion, and I think Alex Neil is one of those managers that, I think it's a bit of a coup. They're punching above their weight, Sunderland, with Alex Neil. He could be managing a team further up the EFL football ladder, but for me, he's in the right place. And I do think Sunderland are only a couple of seasons away from a return to the top flight of the Premier League. This will be a major boost for them. 8th spot. Yes, I know they probably want more than that, but I think they should settle for just outside the playoffs this time around, and then maybe make a push for automatics even next time around. Spot now over in the Championship, it will be Norwich City. That's right, Dean Smith's boys, formerly relegated, of course, 20th last time around from the Premier League, back into the second tier for the upteeth time, and definitely a yo-yo club. And of course, the previous campaigns, Mr. Farker was at the helm for the Canaries, but this time around, it's of course Dean Smudger Smith at the helm. 5-2, you can get odds for them to get promoted. I've got them sitting just outside the playoffs in 7th, as of course I feel it's going to be a bit of a different scenario for the Canaries this time around as they battle to get back to the Premier League. But a bit of a dismal campaign. Maybe, just maybe, they will be outside the playoffs and outside promotion contention this campaign. 7th for Norwich City. Alrighty, over in the Championship, of course, we have them 6-fingered freakazoids, aka the dingles, the freaks, I don't even know what you want to call them. Oh my gosh, how happy am I to see them back in the Championship once again. It is Burnley, that's right, with, of course, Vinny Company expected to take over the reins over at Turdmore. I do anticipate a good season for Burnley, of course, with the parachute payments and all the big money, of course, and some of the superstar players they have already on the books. I do think they'll have a good season, and they may even be in contenders to get themselves back at the first time of asking. Of course, with 6 fingers on their hands, I do think they're going to finish in that top 6, so I'm going to go with 6th spot for Burnley, but of course they'll have to get over the line if they to get to instant return to the Premier League, but we'll see about that. 6th spot for the Freaks. It's a 5th spot over in the Championship, and it is Vodford. That's right, of course, Roy Hodgson no more. Now it is, of course, the Vegans' ex-manager Rob Edwards taking over the reins from a team that finished 19th in the Premier League. Can he manage the prima donnas, or will they be, of course, sold to balance the books? That's, of course, all to be decided over in, of course, pre-season. Currently odds 9-4 to go the distance. I cannot see them getting back in the automatics, of course, with still a young, upcoming manager, but I still think they'll be contenders via the playoffs anyway. 5th spot for me, that is Watford. At the 4th spot, we have Huddersfield Town. That's right, playoff losers over at Wembley. And of course, for me, I still think they'll be contenders next season. And of course, we'll have another crack at the playoffs once again. Fourth for me, Carlos Corberán, of course, major player for the Terriers. Bielsa's cast off of his little buddy. But of course, Corberán done a fantastic job by building this team for Huddersfield. And of course, their style of play will be a threat to a lot of the big boys next season. Fourth for them this campaign, third last season. A bit of a degrade, but not much. But of course, they'll be competing once again for the top honours. Over in the Championship, of course, into third spot, it is Sheffield United. That's right, Paul Heckingbottom's boys falling at the first hurdle in the Championship playoffs this campaign, and of course finishing fifth last time around. They will get a little bit closer to the automatics, and again, I was actually pleasantly surprised to see some of the style of football that's been going on with the Blades. 10-3 to get promoted automatically. They won't do that. They'll fall just short in a very competitive Championship. But third spot ain't too shabby for Paul Heckingbottom, which I don't rate at the moment. Second spot over the Championship, it is the Baggies. That's right, West Brom are going to do it. They're going to make it automatics with Stevie Bruce at the helm. They've already been very busy in the transfer market. John Swift, I think, signed, sealed and delivered. He's yours. Of course, Jed Wallace could also be joining him over at the Hawthorns. 10th last season with West Brom. Daryl DK there, hopefully fit and raring to go and scoring the goals. But of course, I can see it. Stevie Bruce, he might get a bit of stick as a gaffer, but I think he'll turn it around for West Brom, finishing in second spot and of course a return to the Premier League. There we go, of course, my tip for the top out in the Championship. Well, of course, not Blackburn Rovers, it is Chris Wilder and Middlesbrough, that's right, of course. Unfortunately for them, they're finishing 7th last time around, but I do see them making humongous strides with a full season of Chris Wilder in charge. They currently have odds at 7-2 to go the distance, of course, bettering, of course, their season last time around, which, of course, they didn't make the playoffs. And, of course, with all the other ins and outs and, of course, a more competitive division this time around in the Championship, I think a steady head on, of course, the shoulders of a team like Middlesbrough, they should see themselves do very well. But of course for them, they are going to go up as champions for me, back to the Premier League. Well, there you have it, folks. There you have it, of course. And hopefully on the screen, if producer/editor Dirk has fixed it up, you should see my top layer, my Championship predictions on the screen in one shot. So make sure you put your thoughts and opinions down below. Smash the thumbs up. Smash your subscribe as well if you are new. We're going to be covering the Championship in full detail over the course of the season. I'll be thinking about it over the next few days to try and get my schedule on track. But hopefully you enjoyed this content. Let me know your opinions as well. Maybe even stick your own predictions of your league down below. But until then, guys, smash the thumbs up, smash your subscribe. We'll see you soon for the next one, of course. But until then, boys, we're done right now.